Good evening and welcome to Etcetera with the Woodards. I'm your host for the evening, Craig Woodard Sr., and this is episode 27. Can you believe it? 27 episodes already, and we're still pushing forward. I tell you what, my better half here, my right-hand man, the voice of the people, has joined me again tonight. My cousin Deontay Cooley. Deontay, thank you for joining me, man. How's your day going so far?
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. My day has been going pretty good so far. Moving and grooving, man. I went to church, went to two different services today. I need a little extra word. So, other than that, everything is good.
God is good. God is good. All right. Well, listen, we want to give an update. Obviously, every week we have been, putting pressure on Erie County officials. And we're going to continue to do so tonight as well, just to kind of get everyone up to date for those that are new watching the show, etc. with the Woodards. Our cousin, Deontay, and myself, Marcello Woodard, was murdered on July 2nd around 9:45 to 10 o'clock at night in Erie, Pennsylvania. I am broadcasting right now out of Tampa, Florida. Deontay is in Erie, Pennsylvania right now. He's been boots on the street with the protesting and everything that's been going on in Erie, Pennsylvania. But Marcello was shot and killed in his vehicle by two parole agents, allegedly. And we do have the names. They were not released by the state, but we know who they are. So the alleged suspects are Kevin Seelinger and Aaron Osborne, and we're going to get into them a little bit later. But the story that the state originally came out with was that one of the parole agents was being dragged by the vehicle that Cello was driving. We have a video that we actually released and showed that the vehicle was not moving when the gunshots occurred. There were 3 gunshots that occurred, and Marcello was shot in the chest. They didn't render any aid as far as the 2 agents were concerned. Matter of fact, they got back in their vehicle. So there's an investigation going on. Today is actually day 53, I believe, and we have not heard any answers whatsoever. Yesterday, Deontay, I know you knew I was on a nationwide radio show called This Is Not a Drill, KBLA AM 1580. Tavis Smiley is on this particular radio station, and we're trying to reach out to everybody and spread this word so that it can go nationwide and we can get a lot of assistance and everybody on board while we're making noise here. The show was called More Than a Hashtag. It was for the Black Lives Matter grassroots in Los Angeles, and it went very, very, very well. And Achilles yesterday, Deontay told me, he said, Mr. Woodard, because I wasn't going to name who the suspects were, and he said, if you know who they are, name them. If you know who they are, name them. And we came back after he said that, and I said, you know what? When we first started, we were talking about these 2, and then we kind of been protecting them by not saying their name. So I'm going to say it again. Kevin Seelinger and Aaron Osborne, those 2 parole agents were the suspects. We got a lot of information to talk about with these 2. It is just incredible that it's been 53 days, and all the state has basically told us is that in the original statement that one of the agents was being dragged by the car and it was a justified shooting. They are continuing to investigate. Listen, Deontay, I want to get into the meeting that you just got back from. You said it was pretty exciting. Fill us all in some of the news that you've received today.
Yeah, so this evening, the African American Concerned Clergy, they hosted a community discussion or a community conversation, and they had 2 representatives from the Pennsylvania Legislative Black Caucus at the meeting. And those 2 individuals are also state representatives of Pennsylvania, Delaware County, and Montgomery County. So while we were there, it was more or less like pretty much something that we've been requesting. It's kind of like a town hall meeting. So what they did was They allowed everybody in the room who had any questions an opportunity to speak. I mean, to ask any questions about any of their concerns. And there were people from the community there, family members who were there. We had the opportunity to pretty much ask some elected officials and some state representatives, some legislators, some questions, some concerns, and they listened to us. They heard us. They listened to us, and they spoke back to us to the best of our ability, to the best of their ability. So it was good to be able to be in a room with individuals who are lawmakers, who are policymakers, who understand how things work, and be willing to offer information, because we all know we've received yet to little of any word like that from any of our elected officials, from any of our state legislators. So it was very like welcoming. You know what I mean? It was an environment to where, again, people had the opportunity to speak, and they asked us not to have any recorders or anything in there. So it was a very intimate setting. We had the opportunity to get some things off of our chest to at least start a conversation. It wasn't enough time for everybody to speak, but it was an opportunity presented for now some of our local legislators and our local officials and leaders to kind of see some of the things that they can do to follow up. So we are expecting to see this happen again, and more often, from some people who actually live in Erie, because they pretty much told us like it's okay to do that.
This has also been one of the big things that you've talked about for quite some time since we've been on the Justice for Cello coalition is getting with lawmakers and making a change and talking to these people. Were you able to speak tonight? Were you able to ask a question?
Come on, man. I spoke.
Tell us what you said, man.
So yeah, when I had the opportunity to speak, I told him like, when I speak, I'm probably gonna make some people uncomfortable because there's some elected officials in the room. And I asked them first and foremost, like, had this situation, because they both were state representatives. So I asked them, had this situation taken place in your community, would you have spoke to your constituents? Would you have spoke to the public? Would you have done in your community what you did today? And then I said, the reason why I'm asking that is because our elected officials have done little to nothing. And then I asked them, have they spoken to their solicitors and have they spoken to their attorneys to inform them if they should or should not be speaking to us in that moment? And they confirmed that lawyers are real, lawyers always reach out and they do have those conversations. But they did say that they would speak to their own community. Somebody said it's practical. It's probably that music, bro. But they said that turn the music off. So she said that lawyers are real and their attorneys did speak to them, but they said like as individuals who actually live in the community as well, when things like that happen, we should be speaking up. So they pretty much were saying our elected officials should be talking to us, and they should be giving us opportunities and time and places to speak. And then I also said to them, like, there are some of our elected officials who is they're making it seem as though they can't speak or they don't know what to do, or they're making it a race thing and they don't know their place. So I mean, my purpose the questions that I asked were for me to be asking, how can we be receiving more support from the lawmakers, from the policymakers? What should they be saying to us? How should they be engaging with us? Are they allowed to? And then I also applauded them and I told them I appreciate them for coming clear across the state on day 53 to have a meeting in a church that they may or may have never been in. They don't know Erie like our people know Erie. So, I emphasize that because, again, it was two individuals who live on the east side of Pennsylvania who traveled. One said 6.5 hours. I believe the other one said 5. They travel here because they have business in Erie. And since they were coming to Erie and have business in Erie, they said, we want to give the people who are hurting, who are dealing with this, who have questions, the opportunity to speak to someone that can serve.
Gotcha.
But I wanted to know, like, were they there because they don't live in Erie so they could speak freely, or were they there because they were just being human beings as opposed to being elected officials? And then I also made mention of like, the Facebook come. So I'm not sure if you paid attention or not, but like I made a status yesterday about the assistant district attorney having an event because he's running for judge.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
on that status, one of our city council people who was sponsoring the event, her name was on the flyer, decided to engage with me in the comment section, and it went
Hmm.
pretty long. The conversation was
Yeah.
going back and forth, and I felt as though he was insulting me. Well, not insulting me. He was attempting to insult me, and he was insulting us with some of the comments that he was making. And I spoke to that and I mentioned that as well because it was very interesting for me to see. And then it was also interesting for me to get the feedback from people who weren't in the comments or who weren't interacting to tell me what they actually saw and what they were reading through his conversation. Some of the things that he wasn't saying and some of the undertones, and some people even use the word micro.
Let me hop in. I read the whole thing. I read the whole thread, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. My impression was that he was insulting us by you asking questions. That's what I got. What do you
That's
think?
exactly what I got. I was being insulted. And then it got to the point to where he even said like, "Oh, this is clickbait because maybe your page is monetized." So you know what I mean?
Right.
I told like put that on him like I'm using my platform, monetized or not. Like you're not using your platform.
Yeah. Sometimes, you say this all the time, and I agree with it. I said this yesterday on KBLA. Any news is good news. Any conversation is good conversation. Whether they want to tell us to shut up, tell us to shut up, but we are pushing the narrative forward, and that's what we do. And the fact that there was a dialogue meant that there's people out there listening to what we're saying. You know what I mean? Um, I could appreciate your post and everything that you brought to the table, and the fact that he jumped in, and even though he was trying to defend, it seemed like he was trying to defend, the person you were talking about. But the dialogue, I think, was needed. Um,
Absolutely, it
tonight's
absolutely
meeting.
was needed. Like even to
Go
go
ahead.
back to that, the reason why I say it was needed
Yeah.
is because people were watching it, people were paying attention to it, and who were reading it, who weren't interacting or engaging with it. So phone calls were made, screenshots were sent. People were calling me, "Oh, that guy's an a-hole. Oh, don't worry about that. It's going to be all right." Or he's showing his true colors. Somebody else even made a post and said they wasn't gonna name him in the status, but people spoke to what they thought they were seeing, and I really truly believe that he showed character. And the most interesting thing about this, and I will say this publicly, is like I have a relationship with this individual. I'm not gonna say I don't anymore, so I'm not gonna say had, but like when it came to me running, like
Right.
that was the person who I had the most access to. I mean, answering all the phone calls, giving
Yeah.
me all the steps and the tips and tricks. But then after today, and I kind of see it, and people were giving me information and messages, kind of like, what was your true interest in me and having an interest and a connection with me for you to try to like speak to me and insult me like this? And then also to understand the fact that I think today, like, you tried to speak to me and treat me as if I was not educated. And that's the last thing that anybody ever do to
Right.
me because that's one thing that I pride myself in is being educated. So I feel like the education came out, and what he did was he continued to speak because he has a tendency to talk too much. And I believe he put his foot in his mouth, and he gave a lot of I screenshotted everything, but he gave a lot of information that shows that conversations somewhere are being held, and that's how politicians work. So I'm pretty sure every
Yeah.
person who's running for a position saw that post and read all those comments. Any person who is sitting in a seat, any person who is screaming justice for Cello, anybody who is saying, guys, stop screaming justice for Cello, like everybody's seen that, and he showed his true colors today, and a lot of information was released. So anybody who didn't see it, like I would encourage anybody to go to the post that I shared today. I mean yesterday, and the comments went up today with Jeremy
Hmm.
Lightner, who's running for judge. I shared a status about him and read every single comment. And if the comments end up being disappear, like I said, I have them screenshotted. I'm not one to share screenshots in the thread on photos or nothing like that. But I would encourage anyone to read it because he showed his privilege. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
showed his microaggressions and spoke in the undertones, and he was speaking to an educated black man, and I showed him that today. And he got quiet, but usually he runs his mouth. He attacks other politicians online. and he's always yapping at people, and
Right.
he speaks very arrogantly, and he speaks very cocky, and like he's elected official. He's one of the people that we asking for help, and it got to the point to where he got tired of it, so he decided to come speak to, for, or at me on behalf of the district attorney, the assistant district attorney, and I think that was a bad idea for him today and yesterday.
Yeah. I agree. And you're not one to say things on social media and then delete your comments, but we don't know if he is or not. So those screenshots could come in handy down the line. I want to hop back to the two suspects at hand, Kevin Seelinger and Aaron Osborne. Sources say to me, I got a phone call today about that night in question. And so what a reliable source told me was that they are a part of the task force team in Erie, Pennsylvania, that is combined with adult probation and the Erie Police Department, along with the parole agents. And what they are trying to do is they're attempting to get the guns off of the streets of Erie. And prior to Cello's murder, about an hour or two prior to, they were in somebody else's house taking guns out. So the reason why, this source told me that the reason why they have teamed up together is because the adult probations do not need a warrant to go into somebody's house because of what they do. And, people are trying to figure out how come the Erie police were right there. They were right down the street when this occurred. They were right down the street because they knew what was going on in the area because they were part of the task force. So they were obviously working together. Now, this source also tells me when I asked this question of, was this a true compliance check that night on Marcello? And my source told me, no, it definitely was not. They were in the area as the task force. Why he was pulled over and questioned, they have no idea. And I even said, well, if they were working together with the Erie City Police Department, why did they shoot and kill him? And the question, or the answer after that was, I don't know. And so that just really pokes a few holes into what we all know to be true about what happened that night. Was it a compliance check or wasn't it? Was it a vehicle vehicle stop? Because the video shows he was driving and pulled over, and they pulled up right behind him. He never got out the car. They come to the drive. I mean, it's like he was pulled over. Like, there's a lot of questions that's going on right now, and we're in day 53. Hearing those comments, and I know you've had your ear to the street as well as figuring out why the Erie Police Department was in the area right down the street, and they actually blocked his car when it was coasting. What do you say to that?
So I'm glad that you mentioned that, and that's another reason why we need information from our district attorney, because now there's a lot of speculation, and then there's even people who are involved on the inside or who are connected, who are leaking information to different people who they know will spread it out because people are tired. But what I will say to that is,
Right.
I believe that there was a task force, and when they do different sweeps, they use different bodies of law. So when the shots fired and he killed him, and the police were in the areas, because from what I was told, it's protocol, because parole agents aren't supposed to be shooting their guns. Any event that they are going to go arrest someone, they need to let Erie police know where they're going to be in the event that it gets to that point, so that they can make the phone call for the people who are supposed to shoot the guns, if need be. So then, with that being said, now we take it to the Erie Police Department, the chief of police, city council, even the mayor. It was people with city council members. They had no problem saying this was not the Erie police. Day one.
Very quick to do that.
And the reason being is because they know that parole agent blew the plan. You were not supposed to shoot your gun. What were you thinking? That's not on us. That's on you. And immediately what they did was they placed blame and they took blame off of themselves and sent it somewhere else. So yeah, as far as that
Right.
aspect of it and what you're saying, they do that. Like I mean, when you going into the communities and you're going to do the sweeps, it may not have been a compliance check, because if it was a compliance check, why would they go to Shemel's house and not be at Chelo's
Right.
house? And then how do they know exactly where he's at to be able to pull over when he's being pulled over, right? So what I believe is,
Absolutely.
since we're saying that, was it Kevin Seelinger and what's Aaron Osborne? So they
Yes,
were in the
sir.
car together. And what's so crazy is, if Cello wanted to flee the scene, why would he not have fled when the first agent came? Because in the video, you can see there's already one agent out the car. So
Yeah.
Kevin
Yeah.
Seelinger is the one, and now this is all speculation. You know what I mean? Since they ain't giving us some information, we're going to speculate a little bit.
All alleged.
So it's all alleged. So when Kevin Seelinger came over there, he messed it up for everybody, because if Cello wanted to flee, he could have fled when Aaron Osborne was there, right? And then what I said, what I thought that I saw out of my eyes, is the other officer, who was Kevin Seelinger, get out of the car with something in his hand. And once he gets to a certain point of the car, you see the lights and the shots fired. So again, if I'm looking in my car back and I'm talking to one parole agent, even because if they're saying, okay, we identified it, we're going to speculate this thing all the way through. He identified himself.
Right.
So we're doing a sweep. We're in the area. So the Erie police has to know, and the state police has to know. That's why everybody was so quick. So everybody's connected. All bodies are working together to make sure nothing like this happens. And then the other guy comes. It's like, oh my God, what's going on? And that fast. So at that point in time, it seems as though when Kevin got out of that car, he had a motive to shoot his gun. And he was the only person who knew he was going to shoot his gun. Aaron Osborne was over there to stop. He was driving the car. I'll talk to him, because why did he get out first? So then when you have that going on, he shoots the gun. The car goes down the street. He chases the car. Aaron Osborne, oh my God, what's going on? He gets in his car. Let me go get my partner. They call the police. This is what happened. The police are probably thinking, you guys did what? Yes. He shot him. The car is rolling across 27th Street. Stop it. So the police are already in the area, because they know, okay, you know where he's at. We're communicating. This is all speculation. I'm going to continue to throw that in there in bits and pieces. Where are you? We're over here. So then when they get there and they stop the car, it's like, hold on, what? Why is he dead? Like, well, you shot him. Oh my God, that was not a part of the plan. Let's call this in. Figure out what we got to do. The first thing that the Erie police said was, "What nuts?" Because the state police,
What nuts?
they came after. They said this is on state parole. Everybody's saying who it's on, and it got to the point to where it's so messy and it's only on one person that they can't even say his name. They don't want to say his name, but because they're all in cahoots. But it's a situation that went bad. And it's like, we got to give up somebody. And I think we get to the point, and I think that's what's going on, because like you said, it is protocol. You are supposed to be letting people know what you're doing, because why as a parole agent would you shoot your gun and the police not know if you're connected to the law? You're not supposed to shoot a gun, stupid. That's why the police are so close, because here's the thing. If Cello fled and the police were 2 blocks away, we got a runner. Stop him on 27th. He didn't turn up or down Parade Street. He kept going straight. And the police met him where he was at, like that. So it would have been simple, because they're all working together, allegedly. Yo, his car, he fled the scene. Stop him. Shoot him if you have to, because he just drug an officer of the law. A parole agent is not a police officer. So when you're making this call, we got an officer down on 27th. A car fleeing west on 27th, heading across Parade, just crossed the intersection, didn't stop. It's not driving fast. The Erie police pull up. Either Cello take him on a chase, they ram him, or they shoot the car down. It was never the parole agent's job to shoot the gun. The police are pissed about that. The city police are pissed. The state police are pissed. Aaron Osborne is probably pissed if he has a heart, unless he wanted Cello to die too. But at the end of the day, there was only one person, in my opinion, who had murder on their mind, And now it's Kevin
That's
Seeliger when he
right.
got out of that car, and everybody's trying to figure out how do we cover this up? Because again, we just heard in that meeting they all work together. Even though, like, because somebody asked a question about the picture with the DA sitting with Kevin, and he was like, "Yeah, everybody's familiar with each other, and they all hang." But then the law pretty much is they have no problem going up against each other. They can go in the war room and be respectful, and then come out and be like, "Yeah, we won in there." So they're going to
Right.
know each other. So with that being said, everybody in those inner circles and in those inner workings, they know something bad would happen. They know somebody messed up. It's only one person who messed up. But here's the thing: that one person works for parole, which is an entity of the state. In a situation like
Yeah.
this, you have to call the Erie Police and you have to call the Pennsylvania State Police before you go on a quote unquote manhunt. So now what they did was
Hmm.
everybody's involved because one idiot made a mistake and we got to cover our tails. So that's why I believe the Erie Police Department instantly said, wasn't us. Pennsylvania State Police said, we're
From the beginning.
investigating him. And the district attorney has said nothing because everybody's friends and they all like, oh my God, who hired the idiot?
Yep. Yes. Yes. And we want to speak about this idiot, this alleged murderer, Kevin Seelinger, and his partner Aaron Osborne. Sources also are telling us that the state, they are relocating Kevin Seelinger to Mercer for his job. So he's going to be in a different district, but not that far away from where he lives. So still in driving
Absolutely.
range, right? So the family has not been notified of this. No phone call to the family. No nothing. We hear this stuff from sources because we have a lot of people that are close to this investigation that have had it with Kevin Seelinger. They have had it with Kevin Seelinger. They know his past. They know his present. They know what he is capable of, and they are tired of it. But they're scared. They're scared to come out and say things, but they'll let us know. And we ain't afraid to talk about it, right? So we're going to use the correct terminology and say that he's an alleged murder because that's what we need to do to avoid lawsuits. But we know who he is, we know what he did, and we know that he ended our cousin's life, right? The same blood that spilled on July 2nd was the same blood that pumps in my veins right now. And I have had it. I'm absolutely disgusted that it's 53 days and nobody has said anything. And they're going to just gently move this guy down to Mercer. But check this out. We're not done yet. All right. We're going to try to put together and get together a couple vans in Erie, Pennsylvania. We might try to plan a protest down in Mercer and Mercer County. We're going to find out where we need to be. There's colleges down in that area. You got Grove City College, you got Westminster, you got Slippery Rock, you got all of these colleges down there where we need to reach out to the black caucuses and the minority student unions and put them on alert that an alleged murderer is coming. An alleged murderer is coming to town. We need people to be safe. When you heard that they're relocating this guy in the middle of the investigation, what does that do for
Listen,
you,
man, I
Deontay?
was livid. And the reason why I was livid is because, like, I'm curious to know how he is still working. You know what I mean? So even when I
Yes.
say working, like, he should be on some type of leave pending investigation as well. And it should be unpaid. And,
Yeah.
and, and again, I'm no attorney. I understand he's in the union, they have his back. In the event that everything goes in his favor, then they should be able to have
Yeah.
to pay him back pay for all of that time off if they put
Correct.
him on a leave unjustly. But as far as in my opinion,
Yep.
he should not have a job. And you're correct about what you said.
Right.
People are tired and frustrated to the point to where there are even people who at one point in time were screaming, just shut up, that are now reaching out to try to help us. And there are people who have
Yeah.
positions that they can't jeopardize who are sending information, and we appreciate that. So I don't want any person to feel
Yep.
like because you can't be as loud as some of the people you see being loud, that you're not valuable. Every single person who's screaming justice for Cello is valuable. And I did receive that information as well, as far as they're getting ready to try and quietly transfer him out. A lot of his parolees have already been assigned to different people to get him to another. And that's usually what happens. I worked for the Department of Corrections for 7.5 years. do something in the jail, your union is so tight that it's hard to get fired. And they say when you're working in the jail, you have to either have sex with an inmate or kill somebody to lose your job.
Yeah.
But outside of that, those unions are
Yeah.
strong, and what they will do is they will try to move you around, and it's pretty much like a demotion and send you to another jail. So he might have to work the 2 to 10 shift in the jail again, or the third shift because he's going to be low man on the totem pole. But what I don't understand is whoever's in human relations can have him. They're saying it's static. Whoever's in human relations can have him. Let me turn it down or something, or move my phone back. But they can put him on suspension. They can make him go through mental evaluations. And like you said, I forgot where I was going with that, but they can make him go through the mental health evaluations, do all of the things before he comes back to work. So I'm not sure why he is still employed. Why is he still able to be out? Like, he has to be he has to be traumatized himself. He killed a man.
Yeah.
He killed a man with a gun, doing his job.
Yeah.
Like, imagine being at work and you killing somebody and then going back to work the next week and just clocking in like everybody's fine. And then when you think about the intricacy of, the sensitivity of the work that he does. So if they're going to send him to work, is it to be a parole agent or is it for him to work in a jail? Because you're still dealing with a population of individuals who commit crimes. And we now know how he handles people who commit crimes when he does not agree with their actions. So they are assigning a killer to another area to potentially kill somebody else. So now it's to the point now to where our own state is putting ourselves at risk for a lawsuit, because if it happens again, you can consider it premeditated, because now he has a history. Now he has a background of doing this type of thing. So I'm not sure why our tax dollars are going there. I'm not sure why HR is going there. The only people who I can understand who's representing him would be his union, because they have to.
Yeah.
And his attorney, because they have to. And his family just loving him and want him to get the lightest thing possible. But outside of that, nobody should be feeling bad for Kevin Seelinger. He should not be receiving any type of benefits of anything, especially coming from tax-paying citizens who are screaming for justice for Cello. But again, I want to go all the way back to the thing that you said when you said the information is coming. There are a lot of important people who are in positions of power who are sending in information, and then who are even giving up like, hey, try to research this, or hey, call this number. So, and all of that is appreciated. We want that to continue, because we're getting information that the district attorney is having, and she's not releasing to us. And now we don't know if we blow in the case or not. So they ain't finna tell us to shut up. They need to speak up before they try to mute us. Because if we giving away too much information that's helping them prepare for a case, then why don't y'all speak to us and help us so we ain't making y'all jobs harder? But he should be going back to work. And I heard that from a very reliable source that got the information from somebody who's this close to him. So this is not, this is me speaking facts from a source who offered me some information. And I feel like it was it was valid enough for me to speak on it publicly and say that I believe it as well.
I have we've been handling things the correct way, the best to our ability. We're not attorneys, but we're individuals that came together, like-minded, that wanted to make a change and wanted to fight for justice for Cello. We have ordered the standard right to know request form. We filled out a number of these. I want to read a couple of the information on here to let you know what we requested, and then I'm going to give you the result. The result is very, very quick and very simple, but let me let you know what we did. So on the record of request, this was on July 11th. Can you hear me? Say again. Yeah, and I hear it. I don't think it's my microphone though, but I'm not too sure. I don't know if that's any better. It seems like that cleared up a little bit. Okay. All right. July 11th. Let me turn this down a little bit. July 11th. Records requested any/all blotter/desk journal entries for any Erie Police Department, Erie, PA, units in a 1.5 mile radius from German Street from 1,700 to 2,300 hours on July 2nd, 2025, to include but not limited to any pertaining to the gunshots or discharge of a weapon by Pennsylvania Parole Board agents. That's one request. The other one, uh, name of Erie Police Department officers slash agents of who arrested, took into custody, questioned, handled witnesses, suspect persons from 1,700 July 2nd, 2025 to July 3rd, pertaining to the incident surrounding the shooting of Marcello Woodard on July 2nd. Another one here, any evidence, records of requests and or notifications for augmentation of Erie Police Department to officers, agents, by any agents, representatives of Pennsylvania Parole Board, Department of Corrections, pertaining to any operations in Erie, PA on July 2nd. Another one, any slash all blotter slash desk journal entries, reports for any Erie Police Department in Erie, Pennsylvania, units in 1.5 mile radius, 27th and German Street, pertaining to a vehicle accident, collision with Erie Police Department units, to include the time frame 1730 through 2300 on July 2nd. We got another one here. Any reports or documentation pertaining to the notification of Erie Police Department, Erie, PA, by Pennsylvania Parole Board, Department of Corrections, or its agents regarding planned operations, compliance checks, locations of operations, and parolees involved for July 2nd in Erie, PA, include but not limited to Aaron Osborne and Kevin Seelinger. There was also a response from the Erie City Police Department on July 14th. They got back to us basically telling us that they got our request. And just recently, they were supposed to have a deadline of August 20th to have us all of that information. And we received two notifications from both the Erie Police Department and the state. And they basically said, we're not giving you anything. I don't understand how we have a right to know, and this is public information, but they refuse to give us this information. Come on, y'all. You have to know that there's a cover up going on. This is shady. This is shady stuff going on. We're following things by the book. We filled out the right to know, and they're telling us we don't have the right to know. I want to know who shot my cousin. I want to know who killed my cousin, and I want to know why. And the family is afforded these answers. I don't understand why we're doing everything by the book, but they don't have to. They're the ones that took an oath, not me. I don't understand. This is just really upsetting to me. And then they're going to move this guy to Mercer, and now Mercer has a problem because they have an alleged murderer on their hands. How are they going to deal with it? Our people up here are a little bit better and feel a little bit more safe and a little bit more secure with him being out of the area, but now he's somebody else's problem. And they haven't fixed the issue of what he did here to Marcello Woodard, and the family wants answers. I don't understand, Deontay, why we would put all this time and energy and fill the right to know out, and they're basically telling us we don't have a right to know.
Right, absolutely. And like I was having a conversation with somebody, and we need to keep sending them. We need to have more people sending them right to knows every day. Like I have somebody who's willing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
To like do a template. Do a template one, so then that way everybody can send them out and reach out, you know, as far as asking questions. But this was something that I was asked, and the person asked me, they made a pretty valid point, right? When the shooting went down, why didn't the Erie Police Department arrest the shooter and then let the state take it from there? Because the crime happened in Erie City. So a man was shot and killed.
Very true.
So the Erie Police, and like from what I was asked, again, I'm not an attorney, but if a crime happens here, that's how you know they were all connected. If the crime happened right here, why didn't the Erie Police Department say, hey, we're cuffing you, we're taking you to jail, or we're going to the station, we'll ask questions here, and then wait for somebody higher up to calls and says, hey, let him go, that's our guy, we're coming to get him. So I'm even when they ask me that, I'm like, yo, that's a good question. I never thought about that because an arrest should have happened, period. And then maybe a release once they said, hey, this is above your pay grade. This is out of your jurisdiction. I don't know if they really say that or if that's just something we see in the movies. But the Erie police had a right to arrest that man right there on the spot because he came to the crime scene. What happened? Oh, I shot him. You shot him and he's dead. Oh, yeah. Turn around. You're under arrest. You just killed the man. And you have the right to remain
Absolutely.
silent and allow him to
Yes.
remain silent and him call his union to then call his attorney to say, hey, I'm in the Erie County prison because I shot and killed someone. And then the state come and say, hey, Erie, y'all tripping. Y'all got to let this dude go. This is above y'all pay grade. So that had me wondering and curious, like, why didn't our local police protect us first and then be told no? Why did they ask permission instead of asking forgiveness? That man should have been arrested right there on the spot because he committed a crime. Yep. Why did they work together? They all, when they came there, he said, yeah, we killed him. They all worked together to try to handle the situation. So now it's kind of like, is everybody working together or what? Because when that question got asked to me, it made me know that. But Michael Berkshire said something about the don't reveal a pending investigation. Okay, that's understandable. But again, we're gonna continue to send the information and make noise. So if we send them, we send them. They just gonna have to keep responding to them. But at the end of the day, like, that's what I would like to know. Like, why was he not arrested on the spot, cuz?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because even,
you know,
let's say, for instance, if I were to shoot, I'm black, you know, and they come, hey, here's my license, here's my drone, I gotta call whoever I need to call. I might have to go to the jail, or I might have to at least go to the station for questioning. You don't get to just kill somebody and then go back. He went back to work. That's what he did. For him to be
here's the other thing.
For him to be able to get back in his state vehicle after shooting and killing a man, and then going back to finish his shift, or he went to the hospital. He went to the hospital on the clock. And then after that, got back in the state vehicle. He probably went back to the office. And then he probably clocked out. And then he probably put all of his stuff away. And then he went home. And then there was no, hey, what's going on? Why didn't he get arrested at that very moment and get questioned or interrogated? Why did Shamel get interrogated before the person who killed Marcello? Why did his house get raided? Why did the Erie police say, hey, man?
This is also an inside source told me today that when Shamel was being questioned, Shamel heard both Kevin and Aaron being questioned at the same time in the room next door to them. When have you ever heard two suspects in the same room being questioned? Who ever does that? I mean, if you and I robbed a bank and we're at the scene and we got money in our hands, they're arresting both of us. I'm going to one cruiser, you're going to another one. When they take us down to the police barracks, they're going to question me in a separate room. They ain't going to let us have time to put our story together, but yet these guys were awarded that same opportunity? I don't understand, man. That has something to do with cover-up, and we're exploding and punching holes in all of these stories. And you heard it here first, that they were heard in the room next door, both of them together being questioned. That's not supposed to happen, man. That's not supposed to.
Right. That was more. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I didn't even know that took place. So it was more or less they had an opportunity to get their story together on the same.
Yes.
So were they really being questioned, or were they just over there listening to her being questioned? And were they talking?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point.
And telling their stuff. Were they telling their story and writing their? You know, what I mean, let's write our incident report out while she's in here. We're gonna listen to what she's saying. We're gonna take her information because they weren't interrogated. And again, I want to know, like, why did the Erie police arrest them first and then wait later to be like, oh man, we messed up on this one. We accidentally handcuffed someone who killed someone and took them to jail we weren't supposed to. Why wouldn't they be willing to make that mistake on behalf of the righteousness of the law?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, we have another county council meeting coming up on Tuesday. You've been a huge advocate, a huge speaker. You've been the voice of the people, and I know you will be there front and center. What do you expect to happen this Tuesday that's going to be any different than the last meeting? I'm hoping we get more people down there to question, and it goes a little longer. But what do you anticipate?
I mean, at this point, that's like, so to me, going to those city council meetings and those county council meetings, that gives me the same concept as far as like protesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at those public meetings, we as citizens have the right to be heard at an
Yes.
allotted amount of time. And if that time frame is 3 minutes, and if 100 people comes to speak for 3 minutes,
Yeah.
that's 300 minutes. I don't believe that they can just say, okay, we don't want to hear you guys anymore. Let's stop the meeting. So if we got
Right.
to be in there all night, we got to be in there all night. But what I would like people to also understand is when you make a statement in there, it is recorded and it is public record. So your elected officials, whether they want to or not, they have to at least, they don't have to listen to you. They have to hear you. And I want people to come in there and speak to whatever concerns that they have. I don't want anybody to feel like they have to come in there with a script. I don't want anybody to feel like they need to speak for the whole 3 minutes. Even if people come up there and say, hey, my name is Deontay Cooley and I'm just here to support justice for Cello and go sit back down, they can do that. Understand that there's rules of order, which is why I said before they could have removed me. So there's things to do and not to do. But us as citizens, we have a right and we should go in there and we should speak to our elected officials and ask them, why aren't they doing anything? Have they heard anything? Do they care? Who are they talking to? Can they ask Elizabeth Hurst to speak up? Can they get Jeremy Leitner to speak up? Can they get any other? Those are only two people's names I know, so it's not just to target those two. If I had a list of names,
Right.
I would rattle them all off. But can they do something? Because our elect, so a lot of people are, like, oh, y'all keep going there, blah, blah, blah. They work for us. And here's
Right.
the thing, like, we didn't ask them to do that. They asked us if they could do that for us by asking for our votes. So when you sign
Mm-hmm.
up to be an elected official and you sign up to be a public servant and you serve the people, regardless of how you feel about what they say, you already accepted that you're going to listen to what they say and you're going to have to speak to their concerns. So I don't want people
Right.
to feel like they're not allowed to come ask questions. You are allowed to ask them, what are you doing for us? What have you done for us? What is your
Mm-hmm.
plans for the future for us? Where do you come from? So when you go to city council and county council meetings, you are allowed to ask those elected officials questions. You are allowed to challenge what they have done. You are allowed to research them and then bring back to their attention some of the things they signed off on, some of the things that they voted for, some of the things that they're not speaking up to. So I want anybody who's ever had a problem in the city of Erie, because Erie County covers the entire city, but it's just broken by districts. I want
Right.
anybody who's ever had a problem in Erie City to come in there and address their problems and make sure they know where their district is so they know which person that they're speaking to. But everybody who comes should come and say something. I don't care if we're in there all night. And if people can only be there for a short period of time and they have to leave because we are in there all night, if you just come say your piece and leave, it is on video and then it's recorded. The meetings are recorded and it's documented and it's posted in this public record forever. So what we are doing by going to these meetings is we are making history and
Yeah.
we are seeking justice for Cello and we are speaking truth to power and we are going and telling our elected officials, we've heard that you want to work for us. These are the things that we want you to do. And we let them figure out if they can or if they can't. It's not our job to have the solutions because we didn't sign up to have the solutions. It is their jobs. So they need to hear our cries. They need to hear our concerns. They
Mm-hmm.
need to hear our eloquent words. They need to hear our ignorant words. They need to hear our pain. They need to hear our passion. They need to hear every single thing that we can tell them for however long we have to tell them. And nobody should be shaming anybody for speaking justice for Cello. And if any person in that room, if you get a read on one of our elected officials that you feel like they ain't listening to you, you have every right to call them out. So
Yeah.
this is why I'm going so hard when it comes to elected officials and going to the city council meetings and the county council meetings, because I want people to understand their civic duty and understand that it is okay for you to question them. It is
Yeah.
okay for you to go to those meetings because you are supposed to and speak to your concerns. It is okay for you to know their names and to say their names. It is okay for you to know their faces and point them out because that's what they do. It's election time right now, so it's people who run it, they campaign it, they having events. They're asking for money to represent our community, but yet they are not representing our community. So why would anybody be donating to these fundraisers to these people who aren't helping us? And we need to be saying that. Why would anybody be going to have a good time or hanging out with people? How do you have time to hang out and have a good time, but then you want me to be patient and be quiet? So I'm not going to be quiet. And I'm going to continue to encourage people to come to these meetings. I'm going to continue to encourage people to ask questions, to post on social media, to tag our elected officials, to interact with our elected officials, and to make them do their jobs, because they signed up for these jobs because they want to serve the people. So we, the people, need to continue to apply pressure and let them know that we're not playing. And if they don't want to hear what we got to say as elected officials, to step down and give somebody else the job who want to do it.
Again, on July 2nd, our cousin Marcello Woodard in Erie, Pennsylvania, around 9:45 to 10 o'clock that night, was murdered in his vehicle, shot 3 times. Two suspects, two parole agents. One of the parole agents was his own personal parole agent. The names of those agents were Aaron Osborne, and Kevin Seeliger. They are the alleged suspects that we are talking about this evening. Deontay, final words to the people. We've been grinding for 53 days, man. We've been doing the podcast here. We've been spreading the word. We've been hitting the streets with peaceful protests. We've been at these city council, county council meetings. We've been doing national radio interviews. We've been doing all types of stuff to get justice for Cello. Parting words to the people of the city of Erie.
The biggest thing that I want to say to everybody is to continue to unite and continue to come together. Let's continue to build community around this. You know, we've seen a lot of people who didn't speak, who are speaking and hugging and high-fiving and all of that. We need to continue to love on each other. We need to continue to understand that this is our community. And there's going to come a point in time where we need to understand that when you talk about elected officials, we have a community that is 7 officials. Like, we don't have to keep being nice to them, you know what I mean, and asking politely for their position, because we outnumber them. And we can be civil about it. And we can use our intellect, and we can use our wits. And that's why the people who are behind us, who are behind the scenes, are very important. The people who are sending these messages and these little tidbits and pieces of information that's going to help us continue to excel. Like, this movement, this moment, it's an unfortunate situation that is uniting people on levels larger than anybody could have ever imagined, from community to sport to school to civics to church to everything. So, like, I love the fact that people are coming together and seeking justice and fighting for justice. And I want everybody to know and to understand that justice for Cello just does not just mean to incarcerate the person who shot the gun, but it means for us to be able to continue to stick together and show, like, again, we talk about how the community or the people impact things. Think about all the things that we've done. We haven't done much of nothing, but look at all the noise that we've made and how the people have come together. We got people, white people, black people, Hispanic people, Muslim people. You got the LGBT. Every community is sending at least 1 or 2 allies. You know what I mean? So this is creating an environment, a togetherness, a collectiveness of the Erie city and of the Erie community that is never ever going to go unremembered, man. So, like, and it's all for Marcello. So even when we say justice for Cello, it's love for Cello. Like, think about how good of a person that you have to be to where when your life ends, the whole city is ready to move. White, black, green, brown, and indifferent. And then you got families coming together. You got kids coming together. You got people coming from out of town, people from organizations who are saying, like, I can't really help, but I can help, coming together and helping. So, like, I heard Shateria say today at the meeting, she don't want Cello named. She hoped that this don't go in the vain, and she hoped that some changes can be made. And, like, I'm glad that she said that and it came from her. You know what I mean? Because we need to hear from a softer voice. We need to hear from the mother of his child to actually be speaking and understand that she understands that it just does not just mean lock him up, but how are we going to impact our community, and how is her son's father's name not going to, I mean, his death not going to go in vain. So we're going to continue to build our community. We're going to continue to love one another. And that's just what I want everybody to do, is just keep loving on one another, figuring out what we can do to bring more noise to the situation, the subject. We don't need any division amongst us, because then we'll start to see the people who aren't really working for us, the more we come together. So I love every single person in Erie. You know what I mean? Like, we go back and forth on social media and all of that. That don't mean that the love is lost, but I want people to
Yeah,
know that I mean business and we serious and we're gonna keep coming together, man. So it won't be no separation or no division on my end. And
yeah,
anytime that I see somebody trying to take a shot at anybody who's screaming justice for Cello, I will be there to back that person up and those people up. Like, we won't be insulted. We're not going to be
yeah.
intimidated. We ain't scared. Ain't nobody.
We just lost
Like, we need
Deontay.
to
You still there? There you go. You're
keep
back.
loving on one another. And
Yes. Hey, very, very well spoken words, Deontay. Great parting words for everybody. I really appreciate that. You know, I was saying to Cindy earlier, and it kind of made her day because we always get a ton of information over the weekend,
my
especially
fault,
on
cousin. My chat.
Sundays. And
I had a phone call come in.
did you? Okay. Yeah, and our chats are going crazy, man, on Sundays, and we get a lot of information. And I told her, I said, that's God's way of telling the truth through our sources. So we appreciate everybody that's given us information, vital information that we definitely need on this end over here. Okay. So I want you guys to share this podcast, subscribe, like to Etcetera with the Woodards on YouTube. Please tune in every week. We moved the time up from 9 to 8:30. I'm playing around with the darkness down here in Tampa, Florida. If it gets dark a little earlier, we'll come on a little earlier. So it was 8:30 tonight. So I appreciate it. Keep following us. Keep spreading the word. Keep fighting for justice for Cello. For Deontay Cooley, I'm Craig Woodard. This has been Etcetera with the Woodards, episode 27. Thank you. We'll see you next week.